Hey everyone, it's Elise. Welcome back to my channel where I normally like to talk about all things personal finance. And straight off of my last video where I was talking about my emergency savings challenge video, I am faced with a new emergency. And it's one that has been happening for almost 6 months now. I'm gonna really quickly show you a little bit of the video evidence, and then I'll come back and explain more about how I've been having to deal with this by myself instead of what I feel is my condo HOA's responsibility. So it is May 15th, 2025, and my kitchen sink started flooding again. This is the third time that it's happened in the last 6 months, and it's time to record it. So, not really the best, but this is my sink. I was washing dishes and heard a gurgle, which unfortunately, I know what that sound means, and this is where I'm at. So now I'm going to have to mitigate the circumstances and report it to my HOA. The thing about it is my HOA is always trying to skirt responsibility. They say that the issue was that I had a garbage disposal, which is the second sink, and I have since changed it. And it's almost time to go to bed, so I'm gonna empty this out. It's my responsibility to mitigate the damages, because if I don't and let water come all over the floor and molds, I'm gonna get in trouble. The good thing is, there is a meeting, if not tomorrow, the day after, and I will make my issue known, as well as I'm so not good at this. I will probably have to seek legal action at this point, because this is inhumane to have me living like this. The issue is, behind this wall, there needs to be maintenance that hasn't been done. This building is 40 years old. My plumber has explained that. The HOA is skirting that responsibility and saying it's my fault. The plumber says there's 40 years of grease that has not been pushed, and he says that it is a simple solution. There's probably access to the roof. It needs to be pushed out. They refuse. So we're gonna see what they say when I present a statement, because I'm gonna put together a statement and read it. At the end of the meeting, there's an opportunity for you to have 3 minutes to air out whatever you need to say, and that will be what it is, because at this point, I'm gonna get witnesses, my neighbors, and let them know future litigation is coming, and the option for them to sell their property might be affected because the HOA is advocating responsibility for this one property. And it should not be fair that I have to live like this. There's no compassion in the fact that I'm living like this. They've always said it's my problem. Hey guys, good morning. It is the next morning, May 14th, and I have to go to work, but I'm gonna show you what we're looking at right now. This is the level. It smells very rank. I'm sure this water is bacteria laden, and I'm being made to live like this. I did take all the stuff out underneath the sink and put a bunch of towels at the floor, because I mean, that's all I can do to mitigate the damages right now. And I will see what is afoot when I get home. This is the next morning after the meeting, so I think it's May 15th. I'm gonna clean it up, but I did empty it last night, so yeah. So yeah, y'all, that's what I'm dealing with. Even to this day and moment, it is May 15th around noon, and I may have to stop this because any minute now, the building's super intense, like the maintenance guy, he may come in, someone from the HOA may come in, and I'm hoping a plumber comes in within 24 hours, kind of blowing up their spot at our HOA meeting last night. And I do look kind of crazy because I have like I don't know if you guys noticed, but I have like a YouTube uniform where I come a minimum certain way. I try to present myself in a nice way, but I am very disheveled, and I'm just gonna get into the details. I'll be looking at my notes and like the evidence that I have so far. It's a lot, but I'm just gonna really do a story time. This started Thanksgiving night, if you can believe that. And it deals with my kitchen sink. So what is the busiest night in America for a kitchen? Thanksgiving. And I am presuming because everybody was using their kitchen, or sometime after 5, between 5 and 8 is when I noticed it. It was a while ago, but I know it was Thursday evening. My sink started to overflow and it was intractable. Immediately I went to the doorman that I have and told them, and conveniently they called their on-call plumber and he was like, yeah, I can't come out. There's nothing I can do about that. So the next day I got my plumber to come out. He's a great plumber. I've been dealing with him for the 8 years that I've been here. Phenomenal plumber, expert professional. He told me what was going on and he said, yeah, it sucks, but this is doable. His opinion is that because I'm the bottom unit, I'm serving as a reservoir and there is grease and there is dirt and there is garbage from people using their kitchen line, which is normal, but it has to be maintained, right? And he asked me, how's it been maintained? I'm like, nobody's ever come here to me. And he was like, well, that's what needs to happen. And he said, it is fixable and it's not even that expensive. And it should be done routinely. I don't know if it's every year or every 5 years, but it needs to be done. And I'm dealing with it because at the bottom, I'm dealing with everybody's trash. And I've been here for only 8 years. This building is 40 years old. So the building super, who does maintenance in the building as much as he can until someone from the outside professionally has to be called in, he also came because he was made aware, and they did a culpability test, which is they went to the building above me, right above me, and then my plumber stayed down here, and he turned on the faucet of that person's sink, and we were to see if water would come in my sink. And like clockwork, when he did that, it came in my sink. We were on the phone while he was doing it. And then when he turned it off, it stopped rising. So it makes sense, it's not my issue. The thing about living in a condo, surface level, that they tell you when you're buying it, what you should know is that anything inside is my responsibility, but anything in the wall is their responsibility, right? I've dealt with something else in my home where there were issues on the outside, but they should at least pay for the drywall. And I asked them, that was 2020, I asked them to pay for the drywall. They said they were gonna pay for the drywall. I let it go, but I'm at this point where I'm not gonna let it go. Because amongst my plumber and amongst the super and me, we saw the test, they took control of it and they said it was the building's responsibility and not mine because it's in the wall. Fine, I had to go to work, but I think within 24 hours, someone had came and snaked it and supposedly it was fine. I was relieved because it never really had them take care of anything. Great. Fast forward to the end of March, at the end of February, beginning of March. So between like February 27th and March 1st is when it started happening again. Super frustrated, but I contact the super, not even my plumber yet. I just contact the super. And because he's aware of it, he's like, okay, we'll get someone to talk about it. Again, I had to go to work that day. So they call me back in a few hours. Their plumber, their contracted plumber, says it's my garbage disposal. And I shrugged at the thought because I think it's convenient to say it's a garbage disposal when you know that it is an issue that is going to be big and you don't want to take responsibility for it. They asked if I want to change the garbage disposal because that's all they could do. And I said no, because number one, I feel like I don't trust this plumber because that's a shady thing to say to me. And they're like, okay, fine, whatever, but it's your culpability, don't call us. That was the attitude. Within 24 hours, I got my plumber to do it because I trust him. And he's like, I mean, I can do that, but that's not the problem, but I'll do it for you. He did it, it was fine. So I thought. And I got frustrated because that is what they do. They push people and people relent because they are ultimately gonna have to get the law involved. They're gonna have to get an attorney, and most people can't afford an attorney. And it's frustrating because the way they have the system set up, at least in my building, which I imagine in a lot of buildings in Florida, they only have hours 2 times, office hours. The property management is only here 2 times a week for 4 hours. None of those times were they available for me to talk about what was going on in my sink. I don't have any personal information to the actual 4 HOA members, which I understand because that's kind of not fair. Like, there needs to be some work-life balance. And the management company is in the middle of nowhere in Miami. And I say that because Miami is a big place and I live, you know, the north part, pretty much Broward County. And all I can do is reach them by email. If I needed to go there, it would be literally an hour to go there to talk to somebody. And it's one lady, she answers the emails, and then if it's a big problem, she'll triage it and she'll contact the HOA members. It is so cumbersome to get to somebody who can really make the decisions. I have to go through like 2 to 3 people. I have to go through the super, and the super talks to somebody in the HOA through WhatsApp, and then they'll let me know. Okay, fine. So I fixed it. I paid the whatever money. I think it was like $400 or $500 from my plumber. Do you know the next few days after that, when I just go to pay my regular HOA fees that are due between the 1st and the 10th of the month, I see a charge for $250 charged to me, and it says miscellaneous. people did, and I don't know who it is, but I don't know of the four if they all conspired or not conspired, if they all agreed or only one member agreed. But they decided that they were going to charge me back for the $250 that the plumber charged them in Thanksgiving night. That was not my responsibility, because they're taking the stance now that it's not their culpability. They admitted it before, but now because I refuse to take out the garbage disposal, oh, I'm at fault. The garbage disposal is why my kitchen is overflowing. I see this as retaliatory. You guys let me know if I'm being retaliated against. I feel like I am, because at minimum, you could have done that. I pay y'all hundreds, almost $1,000 a month. Okay, but there's no, I let it go. I did let it go. Fast forward to about 3 days ago now, March 13th, 2025. That's a Tuesday. Tuesday night, evening, I'm washing dishes and I hear the gurgle, 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 gurgle sound. I know what that means. That very soon, within 60 seconds, I'm gonna have reflux coming up in my sink. And guess what happened? The reflux came up in my sink. And guess what was not there for them to blame? The disposal, which I told them was not the reason for this happening. So I'm livid. And at that time, I'm like, okay, it's time to lawyer up, because these people are playing with me. And they are going to hear my mouth. F it. I'm not gonna cuss on here, but they are going to hear my mouth. Now, mind you, that Monday, this is Tuesday, that Monday, they sent us notice that we were going to have a general HOA meeting, which they're required by law to have every quarter. I decided I was going to go anyway, but I was just going to be on Zoom, because at that point, I didn't know that my sink was going to overflow. But I said, oh, this is convenient, because I'm going to, it's going to be fresh, and they're going to hear me. And I decided they were going to hear me because I'm going to draw up a statement. And they're going to read it, because I'm going to have the floor, because at the end of the agenda, we get 3 minutes. And I said, okay, they're going to hear me, and I'm going to do it for purposes of letting them know. I'm at a point now where if they don't respond well by office hours on Thursday, which is today, they can expect my attorney to speak to them. And at that point, don't call me in the hallway, none of your representatives, lawyers need to talk. Because when I tried to talk to you for almost 6 months, you told me it wasn't my responsibility and you retaliated against me. And it was for another purpose, for my neighbors to know what's going on, because it's going to be at least $10,000 for me to get this attorney. I've already contacted them last year when I thought that I probably needed to do it. So I got some information, and I'm going to sue for everything. I'm going to sue for my attorney fee, so $10,000, for what it's fixed for emotional distress. I put it in the statement. I'm not going to read y'all the whole statement, but loss of enjoyment, mental anguish, because it is disgusting in this house. It smells terrible. I have loss of use of my kitchen. I have to eat outside of my kitchen, prepare food outside of my kitchen, and these people think it's appropriate. So I constructed this statement because I had time. I be taking the bus to work, and one thing you have on the bus is you have time. So I was like, you know what, write half of it on the way, and if you are not done, write the other half before on the way back, and then you can just walk into the meeting, and that's exactly what happened. Hey guys, I am heading into the meeting to basically tell the HOA what's going on in my apartment, as well as my neighbors as witnesses of what's going on, because the actual last inundation that I have in my unit happened a little bit over 24 hours before this meeting. So it's going to be fresh, and I explained to them that I'm putting them on notice. When I call the HOA tomorrow morning, I hope they have the response that's appropriate, or I will have to get a lawyer. I'm not going to bring y'all inside because I don't want this to be used against me, even though I think it's a public meeting. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Wish me luck. Hopefully they get their act together. So fast forward, I'm in the meeting. I'm waiting patiently, and I'm listening to the actual meeting minutes. I mean, not the actual meeting agenda, because I've been going to the meetings now starting last year. I've lived here for 8 years, but because of the environment of HOAs in Florida and our issue with having reserves and stuff, I have been going to be a steward of my real estate investment, which is my home. So I'm abreast of a lot more than I ever have been in this building, and I've just been watching and listening, just seeing like things that I need to pay attention to protect myself and give an opinion, because we're a community, right? Fine, so that part was good, and I'm just listening, but I'm waiting for my time to say my plights, and the time came. I get up and I politely say, hey everybody, I'm from unit Blase Soise, and I asked for the 3 minutes, and it shouldn't take more than 6 minutes, but if I run over, I ask one of my neighbors to please yield their floor to me so I can finish up. So I read this statement, and it is a statement which is letting them seriously know this. I explained the 3 occurrences, and that I was not playing them. Expect a lawyer. If tomorrow when I go to office hours, things are not right. Oh, and before that, there was an attorney there because we have litigation from something else that happened, another lawsuit from years ago. Before I spoke, because he was like, maybe this is the time I can go if you guys don't need me. I said, actually, sir, you might need to stay because you are the attorney and you might want to hear what I have to say. So he stayed. At the end of my statement, when I tell y'all everybody was gagged, the HOA reps, there are 4 of them, the lawyer, he was at attention, and my neighbors were like, but what do you mean you've been living like this? And they're looking at the HOA like, what is going on? Like, y'all know about this? Y'all letting this lady live like this? So my point of that was twofold. I really just wanted witnesses, but it was nice that they were empathetic with me and they were 100% behind me. Like, absolutely, y'all need to do what y'all need to do. The HOA president was like, I'm not aware, which is wild to me. Now he says they are an HOA and they are 4 members, but they're not as cohesive, which makes sense because they signed up to protect their investment as well, and they're doing the best that they can. I know it sounds like I'm defending them. But I did tell them in the meeting, I don't necessarily think y'all hate me, but I cannot live like this anymore. So you got one more chance, and I'm just gonna go to a lawyer. It's nothing personal, but I can't live like this anymore. He did come back and he was like, yeah, you're absolutely right. This is what's going on. I told him that this was charged to me. He said he'll do an investigation because I'm like, I need this $250 back because now you know this is an issue. There was one lady, I think she's the accountant, I'm not sure, but I've seen her in the meetings before. She was there via Zoom and she was like, oh, well, yeah, if you need to get access to the pipes in the middle of the wall, that's not a problem. And I said, ma'am, I find that statement disingenuous because if I decided with my own plumber to go dig in the walls and I did something wrong, you would immediately find me and sue me because that pipe deals with all the units above me. And they're real big about letting us know, don't touch anything that will hurt other people because it's then a structural problem. The whole building could fall if I'm messing with the pipe at the bottom. You know what I'm saying? So I just found it so disingenuous. And she was the only one that gave me a nasty comment. Everybody else is understood. I'm like, no, I'm not falling into that trap. What should have happened is y'all offered to have I don't know what the word is, but a meeting of the minds, an HOA representative, professionals, maybe your professional, maybe my professional, and then we figured out there'd be agreement that this needs to happen. None of that happened. Still honestly hasn't happened this morning, which I'm going to explain a little bit. But what I will say, I'm going to show y'all some more footage and then I'll be back to let you know why I still maybe need a lawyer, even though they are trying to help me now. This morning, what is today? May 15th. Even though I emptied it last night, it's still overflowing. Now, you know that countertop is wooden. It has nothing but mold on it, and it's gonna fester. Even though I have a big window where I can air it out, that needs to be changed. And what I'm feeling today is that time is of the essence. It is noon, and nobody's in my kitchen. Do they think that it's okay that I have to deal with this? Now, everybody's been compassionate. So, but I will say, like, by the end of the day, at minimum, it needs to be staked a little bit. I will say that the HOA president is willing to use my plumber because he's like, do you trust him? I said, yes, he does excellent work. I let my plumber know, I talked to him, he's like, okay, fine, but I need to get some information from somebody who has knowledge about the access I can get because that will determine what I need to do. So I'm texting the HOA president. He's not responding, but I do remember that there's office hours between 9 and 1. I tried to call the HOA president because I said, and in those text messages with the HOA president, I text him my plumber's number and said, please call him within the hour. I'm trying to always remember that he has things to do too. And he did seem shocked and embarrassed about what happened. So that gives him some credit. So I'm not trying to blow up this man's spot, but I need something still to be done within 24 hours, right? Because imagine if this was your kitchen. But when he didn't respond, I gave him an hour, I called him, and it went straight to voicemail. So I didn't like that. So I said, okay, I'm gonna go to the HOA office hours because that lady that's there all the time, I know she has his number and he'll probably answer her. I want to do that. Now, some of the 2 neighbors that usually tend to always know the HOA people because they tend to have a lot of issues as well, they were like saying, oh my gosh, last night that was terrible. I'm so sorry you're going through this. They were giving me tips about this is what you do. You do this. If these people aren't doing stuff, there are other ways. So I appreciate that. There's some camaraderie. We all went into the office and I was like, I called him. And I showed the HOA lady that last video where this morning it's flowing and everybody's gassed. They're like, this is terrible. And I feel like showing them the video makes them realize, oh yeah, she can't live like that. We got to take care of it. Long story short, within a few minutes, I was able to talk to the president, only because I called him again. I don't know, she texted me, was like, yo, this is serious. And he said that they're going to try to get someone in here today. And that's all I'm asking, because there is a short-term fix because they've done it before. I need that short-term fix now so I can get use of my kitchen. And then y'all can do the details about the big one within 30 days because it needs to be within 30 days. So that's where I'm at right now. Again, it's probably like 12:30. Nobody has come through. I do know there are certain things that I must remember in this process, this 30-day grace process that I'm giving them. The first one is that I need to stay even-tempered, even when this is very emotional for me. Because if I sit and think about what's going on, you could want to cry, because I'm not a dirty person and I don't want to live in dirt. The water is bacteria laden, which is what I put in the statement. I put in my statement, I said, where is it? I never find it. I think it's here. I'm being made to live in an undignified manner daily with foul odors, bacteria-laden water, and no functioning sink to wash dishes and prepare food. Now I have to seriously consider washing my dishes in the bathroom tub. So I have to remember to not put myself in that pace and compartmentalize. And I also have to remember to be patient. And that's why I'm giving them some grace, but at minimum, within 24 hours, it can be snaked out a little bit. I think you guys would agree with me on that. I don't think I'm asking for too much. And I know come 5 o'clock when business hours are over, I'm gonna be very pissed and they will hear about it later. Or they'll hear about it from my lawyer, because everything is being documented. Everything has been documented since Thanksgiving of last year. I'll just add it. And if you don't pay for it up front, you're gonna pay for it more later. And the thing about it is, lawsuits attached to HOA buildings don't allow you to sell your house. So that's why I made it known to my neighbors. I need y'all to at least care a little bit, put yourself in my shoes, and if you don't, do it for the money, because if there's litigation on this, nobody's selling their house. If we have multiple, no one's gonna move here. No one's gonna want to move here, because it's gonna show that the HOA doesn't give a damn about the people that are here. So I decided I'm gonna give them 30 days to remediate it. I think 30 days is good enough for it to be done or significantly done. Again, 24 hours, maybe 48, the small problem. But 30 days, they can get it snaked out. Even if they don't want to use my plumber, then they need to find another professional commercial grade plumber to do it. But the HOA president has told me he knows what the problem is. It needs to get done. If it doesn't happen, then I'm gonna lawyer up. Another thing that I realized of why I might need to lawyer up is because I have to consider my resale value. And when I plan to sell this house, at minimum, I have to disclose what's going on. Because if I don't, the next purchaser can sue me. But if I sell it to them, disclose like, yeah, this is going on, and they've never fixed it, I'm not gonna be able to sell the house. So I might as well sue them and obligate them to fix it. Because with an attorney, they will have to fix it. And they probably don't wanna fix it, because best case scenario, they can do everything on the roof. But worst case scenario, they're gonna have to punch walls in all the floors units. They don't wanna do that. I know you don't wanna do it, but you have to. And everybody pays almost $1,000 a month to live here a month. And this is what reserves are for. And there are things in the budget for fun, like cosmetic things. And I told my neighbors yesterday, that might have to be cut out. We can't have stuff cosmetically in the budget and maintenance stuff is not being taken care of. And I'm just one line of all the other lines in this building. It might be expensive. That's not my problem. I'm gonna try to focus on joy and compartmentalize the issue that I have, because if I dwell on it, it's just a sad situation. If I think about the worst of the worst, I'm gonna have to find $10,000 to find a lawyer. Y'all know I don't have $10,000 to find a lawyer. I mean, I'm cooking some stuff out because I will do it if I need to. And I'm not touching my liquid emergency fund. I'm not doing that. Because what's the point of me doing all these videos to challenge? Like, it's like the devil's trying to get my emergency savings and I'm not gonna let him. But there are other things to consider. The other things to consider is molds. There's a smell. And I've been through this before somewhere else in my house. I might need to get that pre-tested, post-tested. That countertop needs to be changed. I'm scared to ask them, but I'm going to ask them. I'm going to obligate them. Y'all need to fix it. And if they want to say it's outside the wall, no. It's not outside. It is outside the wall, but you guys didn't feel it immediately. And I can't be here every day to clean up the water, because some days I go to work. And every day you don't fix it, that's water on wood, and that means mold. So mold is a consideration, damaged furniture is a consideration, and loss of function of my kitchen is a consideration. That's why I need this done within 28 to 48 hours. So that is it. I will keep you guys updated. I'm sharing this also because there are other people in HOAs that may be going through something similar in the present, past, or the future. And once I know what my rights are, once I figured out from the HOA or from an attorney, I will be documenting that, because power is in knowledge, and I love attaining knowledge. Now, do I want to attain knowledge this way? Not necessarily, but I'm going to be learning about it and sharing what I know in hopes that nobody else has to deal with this for 6 months. They'll know their rights, they'll refer to the professionals quicker and get it done, because you can't allow people to rest on their laurels. So yeah, if you know someone who has an HOA issue, or you maybe know an attorney that might know some information about this, please share this video with them. Because the only person I can think about is an attorney, or maybe an HOA professional. Please share this video with them. And I'm asking that in hopes that they will let me know in the comments something that I can do. Give me a suggestion of if I'm headed in the right direction or not. I kind of got that last night because all my neighbors were like, this is wild. I can't believe y'all let this go on for this long. That was kind of validating enough. But yeah, that's all I have for right now. Thank you guys so much for watching if you're here at the end. And I will keep you guys posted. And I'm going to try to still stay positive or whatnot. But yeah, that's where I'm at. And come 5 o'clock, I hope there's a plumber in this place. That's it.